My first encounter with the Source engine was on the 23rd of June 2013, when I downloaded Garry's mod for the first time. I spent much of my time experimenting with the physics, which, to my 10-year-old mind, was the single most realistic thing I'd seen in gaming. This was all thanks to the Source engine, by that point already 9 years old. It powered some of the most influential games of the 2000s, including Half-Life 2, Left 4 Dead 2, Portal 2, Team Fortress 2, Dota 2, Titanfall 2, Half-Life 2, Episode 2, and Counter-Strike Source. Thanks to the inbuilt modding tools, I got my first taste of game development at a young age, making maps for Half-Life 2 and Left 4 Dead 2. My 10 years in Source had a significant impact on how I turned out, for better and for worse. And it's not just me. There is a distinct community of Source appreciators out there. But I'm not here to wax lyrical about how great Half-Life 2 is, nor am I here to talk about that feeling in RP Downtown V2. As we near its 20th birthday, I want to talk about how Source has captured the zeitgeist of the last 2 decades, the cultural influences inspiring our favourite games, and their lasting impact to this day. If you were to ask everyone in the world, what is culture? You will receive such a wide range of answers that everything and nothing can be defined as cultural. It would seem that culture is something so deeply personal, informed by the biases of one's own experiences and opinions, that, infuriatingly, it eludes definition. Or you could just look it up on Google, which defines it as the arts and other manifestations of human intellectual achievement regarded collectively. What we perceive these to be is ultimately the point of contention. Different things inspire us, motivate us, across time and across space. My culture is defined by the experiences of someone who grew up English, chronically online, and is too young to even remember the release of Half-Life 2. Yours is defined by those experiences that led you to the point of watching this very video. But, for now, the only culture that matters is that of a team of game developers in Bellevue, Washington, 1999. Half-Life 2 changed everything. Not only was it the first game to require Steam, it set new industry standards with advanced physics, facial animations, and highly interactive environments. It entered production in 1999, the very same year that the cinematic tour de force that was The Matrix hit cinemas. Both share common themes. In both instances, humanity is assimilated by a technically superior force, brought to the edge of extinction and kept around out of convenience. It is easy to see similarities in the Beta City 17 and the cities of The Matrix, both sharing a distinctly biopunk aesthetic. The G-Man character, though predating the franchise, would adopt a new, robotic form of speech, similar to the agents of the Matrix film.
Pay attention, Mr. Freeman. I'm only going to say this once.
那么，看来我们是没有合作的机会了。
Though a tenuous link, we do know that the construct of the Matrix would lend its name to the construct of Garry's mod. According to the Combine Overwiki, the series' storyline has been greatly influenced by the works of H.P. Lovecraft and the idea of cosmicism. The very phrase, Lovecraftian horror, alludes to gargantuan beings far beyond humanity's comprehension. These forces are prevalent throughout the franchise, be they the forces of the Combine, Zen, or the mysterious G-Man. The Eastern European setting, which Half-Life 2 ultimately landed upon, was based on post-communist cities like Sofia, Belgrade, and St. Petersburg. This not only mirrored the game's themes of Orwellian control, but is inextricable from the period in which the game was developed. A a decade marked by the fall of the Soviet Union and conflict in the Balkans. And it is here that the Source Engine's grasp on culture begins to show. Many, including myself, credit Half-Life 2 with sparking an interest in post-communist countries. This is a passion I share with my partner, and we have been to places such as Riga, Croatia, and Prague. It all came full circle on our trip to Riga earlier this year, when I got a distinct feeling of déjà vu. Portal entered production in 2005, with Valve returning to the setting of a vast underground laboratory in the form of Aperture Science. Throughout the game, you participate in testing, although it would appear that it's more some form of sick entertainment, or worse, torture. The main antagonist is a rogue AI, GLaDOS, who has taken control of the facility through the use of a deadly neurotoxin. Portal is set within the very same universe as Half-Life, with numerous references to Black Mesa and the events of Half-Life 1. This is expanded more in the second game, detailing the relationship between the companies, industrial espionage, competition for government funding, and how this would ultimately lead to catastrophic events.
And you've most likely used one of the many products we invented, but that other people have somehow managed to steal from us. Black Mesa can eat my bankrupt...
Sir, the testing?
Right.
Both games were massive successes in their own right, defining the genre of narrative puzzle games. The idea of rogue AI is not unique to the period in which Portal was developed. Indeed, it bears both thematic and visual similarities to 1968's 2001, A Space Odyssey. My personal, but tenuous theory is that the rivalry between both Aperture and Black Mesa seems to be inspired in part by the rivalry between Apple and Microsoft. Indeed, the sterile whites of Aperture Science mirror the aesthetic of Apple during the period. Apple would retaliate by shamelessly stealing the idea of a robot lady 4 years later. That this, and newer iterations of chatbot technology, bear comparisons to GLaDOS is proof of the enduring cultural impact of these games. At least in the first game, the furniture seems notably Fruitger Aero, an aesthetic that dominated marketing between 2004 and 2013. The disused testing facilities of the second game show how the interior design of Aperture Science seems to be continuously evolving with contemporary fashion. One can only imagine what these games might have looked like if they were released in 2024. The noughties would see something of a revival in the zombie genre. Shaun of the Dead, Day of the Dead, The Walking Dead. I'm noticing a bit of a theme here. 2008 would see Valve's debut zombie IP, Left 4 Dead. This would see 4 survivors fight their way to various extraction zones across post-apocalyptic Pennsylvania. Unlike Half-Life and Portal, you have to really dig deep to uncover the plot of these games. It's hard for moments of grand exposition amidst a gratuitous gorefest. But it is there. It might surprise you, as it did me, to read about the political messaging of zombie media. This is not just the maybe the humans are the real monsters of The Walking Dead. Famously, George Romero's Day of the Dead reflects on the power and control given to the military and whether this is a good idea. His 1978 movie, Dawn of the Dead, comments on society's obsessions with consumerism. In a post-Iraq, post-financial crash world, it is possible that Left 4 Dead shares some subtle messaging which is overlooked. As the games progress, it becomes clear that the military is not to be trusted. In a comic adjacent to the first Left 4 Dead, the survivors are detained in a Guantanamo-esque facility by the military once it becomes clear that they are asymptomatic carriers. A debate ensues about whether they should be treated as humans or infected, and how they should be treated. Perhaps a subtle commentary on the war on terror. Perhaps not. The setting of mid-2000s America amidst apocalyptic destruction is not overtly political, however could be read into as a subtle critique. People still visiting concerts, balls, airports amidst a global pandemic, as if distracted. Social commentary. Released in 2007, Team Fortress 2 was a mainstay in the childhood of many. With its cartoonish graphics and low price of free, it was accessible to anyone without needing their parents' card details. The whole game feels like a Roadrunner cartoon, opting for an entirely different aesthetic than its predecessor. The benefit of this is that the visuals are timeless, whereas with older games that opt for realism, such as Half-Life, you become acutely aware that you are playing a decades-old game. According to the developers, the character design was inspired by commercial illustrators of the mid-20th century, J.C. Leyendecker, Dean Cornwell, and Norman Rockwell. These artists were known for illustrating characters using strong, distinctive silhouettes with emphasis on clothing folds, as they tended to use shading techniques which accentuated the internal shapes of objects and characters with patterns of value, while emphasizing silhouettes with rim highlights rather than dark outline. And yet, to my artistically uninspired mind, the character design feels remarkably early 2010s, mirroring the Xbox avatars or Mii's. The lasting impact of TF2 is shown in the lineage of class-based hero shooters that would follow, games such as Overwatch and Valorant. I must confess, I never really got into these games, and am hopelessly out of my depth here. I would love your input as to what you think inspired TF2 and what its lasting impact has been, down in the comments below. Right, okay, it's possible I've just been getting ahead of myself, and we haven't even got into the 2010s yet. Well, it would seem that Valve didn't either, as they seem to have become a bit distracted from game development. And yet, the Source community has been hard at work. The Garry's Mod Workshop page is a veritable time capsule of both real-world and internet culture. More so than other engines, Source has a distinct culture when it comes to user-generated content, which often skirts political correctness and, shall we say, the law of intellectual property. Dark RP servers where you fight COVID in Wuhan or build the wall. Low-effort FNAF dupes, MLG sweeps, dated memes of the late noughties. These have all been ways in which the zeitgeist of the last 20 years has woven its way into the Source engine. And it gives back. YouTube machinimas, mods, even Skibidi Toilet. People like to be snobbish about culture. The idea that some things are unintellectual and gauche. Things like video games. But let's not forget what culture is. It's undefinable. It's something so deeply personal that it can be everything and nothing at the same time. Taken in abstract, it tells a story of a group of people at a specific moment in time. And boy, do these games have stories to tell. Game developers, YouTubers, overzealous server administrators have started their careers on these platforms. I grew up watching machinimas set in Garry's Mod. Let's not pretend it's something it's not. It's a game engine, not the Mona Lisa. But they said the same about radio, television, and the printing press. So let us ask, what is culture, if not the Source engine? Thank you for watching. Hello. It's been a while, hasn't it? I've been kind of finding my feet again with this whole YouTube thing, whilst life has very much overtaken me. Thank you ever so much for sticking around, and please do leave a comment about your thoughts about this video, and subscribe if you would be so kind. Genuinely, the thing I enjoy most about making these videos is talking with people after them. I mean, those Minecraft videos, there was a lot of engagement talking about what games meant to people, and I hope to kind of make more videos with that theme. Thank you once again for sticking around, watching my videos, and I do hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Ta-ra!